Sweat, another word for tryhards. Sweats constantly try to excel past their expectations when in reality, they always fall short. They constantly fail achieving their goals to the point where they are sweaty and angry. We've been hearing the term sweat being thrown around more and more as the gaming years go on, and often in a negative tone as well. You rarely see someone calling another player a sweat without hate behind the phrase. I understand why people call each other sweats, but why is there so much bitterness behind the language? Look, since Fortnite really took off back in 2018 and people started to get better and better at video games no matter what the game is, casual and or bad players would cry the word sweat. I'll talk about my main point now and then just touch on the rest later as the video progresses, but when people cry about losing to a sweat, I usually just have one question for them. What do you expect them to do? Seriously, what do you want the better players to do? Do you want them to ask you what your skill level is before a fight? Do you expect them to not try to win? Do you expect them to lower themselves down just in case they run into a player that isn't as good as them? It's just something that never made sense to me. Is that not what you do when you play? Do you not actively try to win when you play? You and that sweat are doing the exact same thing. You are both playing a game and trying to win the fight that's in front of you. Just because you aren't as good doesn't mean that you aren't trying. Now, I do get that there are some people who just put their controller down and give up to prove a point that they aren't a sweat, but that's honestly just the most childish thing I've ever heard of in my life. Before you say it, I know what you might be thinking. A sweat isn't someone who's good at the game. A sweat is someone who does an unnecessary amount of work in order to get a kill. To use Fortnite as an example, a sweat is someone who builds a lot when they don't need to. Here's the thing though, they're good at building. They build what they can. And so did you. Just because that person is better than you doesn't mean they're a sweat. To a new player, you might look like a sweat to them. And no matter how much I talk about this, it always brings me back to the original question. What do you want them to do? Again, you are trying to win, and so are they. How do we fix this? You might say a well-functioning skill-based matchmaking system, but honestly, that's not what we need. What we need is a generation of gamers who aren't soft. I always point back to an old tweet from FaZe Sway, which captures this type of stuff perfectly. The downfall of video games started when kids complained about people being good at the game. I remember when I was a kid and I saw a Prestige Master in COD, I didn't tell him to go shower or go outside. I sent that MF a friend request. I made another video talking about that tweet specifically, so if you want to go check it out, feel free to. But honestly, it's so true. Like I just said, we need a generation of gamers who aren't soft. When I saw a Prestige Master in COD, I didn't cry. I gathered the boys together for a pep talk saying we can beat this guy while we're waiting for the game to start. But I know there will still be people who will ignore all this just because they're on the same mental level as a literal child, and they'll still make excuses for why they can't win a fight. They'll say something along the lines of, but I don't have time to sit and practice for 10 plus hours a day because I have a life. And they resort to shaming, of course. They'll talk about how they don't have time to become good and all these people do because they have no lives, knowing damn well there's only a handful of people in the entire world who sit and practice for 10 hours a day. But they will continue to throw around their insults. They'll convince the impressionable that the only people who are good at video games are the people who have no lives. Ask yourself this: what's more pathetic? The person who's good at a video game or the person who has a mental breakdown over a video game? The point is, guys, sweats didn't kill anything. Are there more people who are good at video games? Yeah, but honestly, that could be chalked up to games changing and the popularity of gaming growing more and more every day. Sweats try to win their games, and so do you. There's nothing wrong with it on either side. And if you still have a problem with people being better than you, I think it's time that you picked up a single player game. Either that or games just shouldn't keep scores anymore so everyone gets a participation trophy, everybody wins. Wouldn't that be great? Honestly, guys, I want to know what you think about everything I said today. Let's talk down below. I think this will make for some interesting conversation. Thank you so much for watching. Hit like and subscribe and use code Clen in the Fortnite item shop. I am a hashtag epic partner. Check the description down below for my other channels as well as a link to Real Ember on Fiverr. If you want to make YouTube videos, the thumbnail is the most important part. Let the best in the business take care of that for you and Real Ember. He's helped my channel a ton and he'll help yours too. Thanks again for watching, guys. I will see you in the next video. Take care.